Today in this video, we are going to learn about story writing. Story writing plays a crucial role in our lives because we can put together our thoughts, our emotions, our feelings together in writing. So, what is a story? A story is an imaginary tale centered on an incident. A story is not a real one. It is based on unreality. It is imagination. It is fictional. And it is based on an incident. In a story, there is a build-up of incidents which leads to climax. So what happens in a story? We build up of incidents and we go up to the climax. We go up to the high point of the story. And then it is followed by resolution. So there is also an end of the story. At the end of the story, we come to know about the story. Okay? A story has several characteristic features. The first is plot, the second is narration, the third is characterization, and the fourth one is tone. So what is a plot? This is what the story is about. The story is about a plot. A plot can be problem or crisis which is resolved in the end. So a plot can be problematic. It can be crisis, but that can be corrected at the end of the story. The second is narration. So what is narration? It refers to the way the story is told. Okay, how the story is narrated, that is a narration. A narration may be told by one of the characters in the story or by a third person. So there are so many characters and the story is narrated by one of the characters or maybe by a third person. The third feature is characterization. So what is characterization? It refers to the traits of the people in the story. What kind of people they are. So characterization denotes to the traits, the qualities of the people in the story. So the characters have the quality of fighting or quality of loving or a character of showing kindness, love. Okay, their temperament, whether they are very jovial, funny, or they show too much anger, thoughts and appearance, whether they look dark or white, tall or huge. Okay. We learn about characters through the description of the author or through the conversations or actions the characters engage in. So in course of reading the story, we come to know about the characters, okay, whether they are naughty or they are intelligent or foolish and so on. And the last feature is tone. The writer may narrate the story in many ways. Okay, the author can narrate the story in different ways. There are various ways of writing. He may write the story in a humorous way so that the readers may laugh reading the story. Or a writer may write in the tone of sad. The story may be based on sadness, or it may be based on serious. Okay, there are stories which are based on humorous, sadness, seriousness. The language used indicates the tone of the story. So what kind of language is used? That is the tone of the story. Okay, now when we write a story, we should keep the following points in our mind. The first point is that we should decide on the events in the story beforehand. So before we write a story, what we have to do is we have to decide beforehand. We cannot simply write a story on the spot. Maybe 1 month or before 1 week we have to think, decide and write a story. Ensure that our plot is logically consistent. So we have to make sure that the plot is logical. It should flow logically. There should be coherent and consistent. There should not be change of the plot as we write a story. The second point we need to have in our mind is we should think about the number of characters the story will have. How many characters will have in a story? That we have to think, whether 2 characters or 3 or 5, we have to think. Okay? And we have to think the relationship the characters share with one another. So what kind of relationship the characters share in the story? Whether they share the relationship of brothers or sisters, fathers, enemy, friends, etc. Okay? And thirdly, we should use dialogues to enliven the action, ensuring that they match the background of the character. Okay? So, we have to make sure that the dialogue should be lively, and we have to make sure that the dialogue should match according to the background of the character. So if a character is about hero. He should have the dialogue of love, kindness. Okay? He should not speak like a villain. An educated man would not speak in the same way as an educated person. So in a story, if the character is of uneducated person, he should not speak like a literate person, an educated person. That we have to keep it in our mind. The dialogue should resemble the way people speak in real life. And the dialogue, the conversation should also be like the real person. Okay, though it is fictional, though it is not real, but when we write a story, it has to be like the people speak in real life. Fourth point is we have to keep our reader in mind when we write our story. So, we have to also keep in our mind that we are writing the story whether for children or for adult or for old people. That we have to keep it in our mind. If we are writing a story for young children, the plot should deal with elements that a child of that age group would be familiar with. So, as I said that we have to keep in our mind that we are writing the story for children or for adults or for old people. So if we are writing the story for young children, then we have to think, we have to deal with the elements that the children of that group are familiar with that. Okay, then only the story becomes interesting. Fifthly, while writing a story, we should keep in our mind that we usually should use the past tense for narration. So while writing a story, we should keep in our mind that we should write the story in past tense. It should not be in future tense or present tense. Usually it is written in past tense. If you are writing a story for young children, the plot should deal with but if you are describing an ongoing action, you can use the present tense to make it more exciting. So if we want to make the story more exciting, then we can use present tense if we are describing about an ongoing action. Okay? Lastly, while writing a story, we should follow this point. That is, one of the most common plot devices is to end the story with a twist. However, this should not come across as forced, but should flow naturally from the plot. So, when we write a story, there must be a twist in the story. There should be a twist so that the story becomes more interesting. For example, we think that The train is going to Raipur, from Bilaspur to Raipur, and we think that the train will halt in Raipur. But then there is sudden change, there is sudden twist in the story, and train does not halt there and it moves to Durg. So that way we write a story so that readers are more interested by reading a story.